Hello everybody, it's Thursday night and guess what we're going to do? I am in my new studio. Hey, by the way, it's David here, David R. Becker at BeckerArt Studios, and actually we have a new studio here. I finally got it all done. You're going to see it a little bit different. It's new lighting, new everything. And hopefully you guys hear me today. We had a little bit of problems last week and I'm so sorry about that. Look at this, I even have a new microphone. Look at that thing. So hopefully that will keep us sounding okay for everything. And so let's go right down into getting started here. And please let me know if you think that if there's something that's not working right, because this is all new. Everything's new. The sound system is new. I got a soundboard. I've got new video cameras, and so everything's going hopefully all right. So we're going to start out with the. What are we going to start out with? Oh, okay. So if you want anything to know about me, go to my website. All right. So anybody that's new here, that's come in, just come over to my website at BeckerArt.net. Let me go look up really quickly what you guys are talking about. Hello, Marianne. Hello, Tina. Hey, Becky. Millie from Tennessee. We got Lynn. We got Barbara. I'm reading questions right now. Sorry about that. So go to my website and again get my newsletter. And here's where you pick up the picture if you're going to do the picture or paint along with me. And you can get it here until I change it. and then you have to know what the link is. If you to put down a link, it'll still take you there, but you have to pretty much bookmark that link. All right. So my supplies. Let me see my supplies. And some of the supplies are here. Those are what I use. I use whole blank paints, and I use I didn't use transfer paper today. I just drew it. No, I was going to use some masking fluid on the trunks of not the trunks, the horns, the tusks. That's what I was going to say. The tusk of the elephant, but we're not going to do that. But and so again, this background, we're probably going to have some paintings back there in a little bit. Right now it's my sliding door in the studio, and so we're going to see what we can do. Maybe put some paintings back there. And so today we've got a buddy of mine, a buddy from Minnesota. He gave me this one, the UFO guava lamp. Guava lamp. So this is a guava lamp, a hazy IPA. So we'll see how that tastes. So, cheers, everybody. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Oh, wow. Good. All right, so let's go over to our value study and see what we're going to be doing. And so today I kind of did a little bit of a trick on this image. What I did is I took the image and I put it into Photoshop, and then I put a posterize effect on it. And so posterizing it so that it would go down to 3 different values: the light, medium, and dark. And so the medium gets to go into any part of the composition, but I figure the light part that you see right here, hold on, oh shoot, I didn't do this right. So this part right here, in here, and the background is pretty much my light part, except for up in the corner here, it kind of went black, but that's okay. We're gonna make this dark, or this light, and maybe a little bit of darker up in the corner, and then the top of the elephants and the front of the elephant, we're gonna, keep light. And so that's what we're going to be doing for the value study. Again, always know what your values are going to be when you do your painting. Always know what's going to happen. All right, let me see who else is here. We got Linda, we got Karen, Sonia, Pamela. Thanks a lot for coming down. First timer. All right, thanks for coming in for the first time. And so we're going to go right over to the tabletop right away and show you what I did this afternoon. Because I do this class twice. I do my live class and during the day. In evenings we do the paint along. And so this is what I did already. And I used a warm background and a cool foreground. We made the elephants warm. And if you can tell closely, I put a stencil on. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a stencil on this. And we're going to do that again this evening. We're going to put a stencil in the background. What I am going to change, though, is I'm going to change the values around. I mean, the colors around. So I used a warm background, cool foreground. This time I'm going to do the background cool and the elephants warm. It's just like we did kind of last weekend. So we're going to see what happens. See if that all works out. And again, if there's a problem with the sound, please let me know. This is my first time using this new microphone and my soundboard and everything's going on. So if you hear anything or something's going on, please let me know, because I want to make this so that I can just keep it set up and don't have to ever change anything. Anyway, so we're going to start out with the background, because it is my light area. And cheers again. That's pretty good. What is that? Guava lamp, UFO. Comes from the Boston area, I think. All right, so we're gonna start with the background, and I could on the tusk put masking fluid, but I'm just gonna go around it like I did. I did the same thing this afternoon. I just went around it. And again, if you have any questions for your newcomers, please put them up there. I'll look up every once in a while. I have a big, huge screen up there that I can read it out, but I'm not gonna look up all the time. But put them up there, and I may answer it, I may not, or I may answer it later afterwards. Anyways, let's get going here. And I noticed that there's a lot of shadowing here, so we're gonna be working with the lighting a little bit. I think I basically set it up in 2 days, so watch out for watch out for the shadows and stuff. It looks like there's some shadows here, so we'll take care of that in a little bit too. The first time for everything. So we're gonna go into the background. Yeah, that light's gonna have to change, because look at that big shadow across there, you guys. Okay, so we'll see that. I'm gonna put my water over here so I don't go over my painting, so you can see actually what's going on there. All right, so yes, I didn't wash my palette yet, but that's okay. Most of you know that I don't really rinse my palette out usually, because this paint is Holbein paint and it stays fresh always. And so if I need a little area, I just wipe that out. But I don't want to waste all that paint, because there's some really nice grays in there. And since I'm using them grays anyways, on this elephant, so that'll be a good thing. So blue in the background this time, or cool in the background this time, and warm on the elephant. Excuse me. And so we're going to go in here right away with some nice cool colors. Here's my violet, my dark violet, my horizon blue, and we're just going to wet it first with a little bit of color. And when I wet it with a little bit of color, knowing that later on I will be going in here and putting a little I'm going to be putting a stencil on today, just to give you guys an idea of what you can do with the stencil at times. So here I just put in a little bit of paint, and not the color I'm going to actually use right off the bat, because later on what is going to happen, let me get this mic a little bit closer, is that I'm going to float other colors into this area. I'm going to float other colors. And in the drawing, there's a couple things I didn't know. The flower he had in his trunk, I think, goes all the way up to his head. I just made it a little bit shorter, and so I got to get going here and just wet it. And I've got a little bit of that blue in my brush, but that's not the final color that's going to be in there. He's got looks like he's got a leash on, or something underneath his chin. And this photo comes from unsplash.com, where you can get free copywritten material. And so here I'm going to go now and float some nice colors in there. I'm going to get kind of a turquoise back there. And so we're going to put a little bit of yellow into the blue to make it kind of a turquoisey color. And just kind of squeeze it in there. Lynn, what size is the painting? Asks what size the painting is, and it's usually 10 by 14. 10 by 14 is usually when it's 11 by 15, but by the time you tape it off, it becomes like 11 by 14. So I'm just going to kind of put all this little bit of yellow into there, kind of greenish blue, making my own turquoise. I don't actually have a turquoise in my palette, so I make it with a little bit of yellow and green. I mean, yellow and blue. Make it kind of greenish blue. And then I'm going to take a little bit thicker, opaque colors and then put them in there to kind of... And as it goes in here, as you notice in my scene, it's lighter, so I'm just going to put a little bit more water so that it stays nice and wet. And being cool in the background doesn't mean that all you have to use is blue colors, or I can add a few warm in there if I want, just to give it kind of maybe a little bit of a color in there. So if I put a little bit of pink, like a little bit of pink or orange, it's going to be okay. It's going to make it kind of a brownish and more earth tone back there. So you can do that. And then down here, and since this is kind of like pretty much a scene of elephants and in the background I'm going to try to make the wash as beautiful as possible, like a beautiful watercolor wash. What is it in watercolor that you can make it look right? And so here we're going to go in there and just kind of go in there and let things float. And then if you have, like, maybe there's a certain kind of style that you like, maybe you like throwing salt in there. Maybe you like scratching things. Maybe you like spattering things, which I'm going to do. I love spattering, and especially on this one, I'm just going to take my brush and take my finger like this and just go. And don't worry about it if it gets on him. He's an elephant. I mean, he's going to have a lot of things going on there. He's got all wrinkly skin and stuff, and so that's cool. And so we're just going to make it a cool, fun background. And spattering, and I forgot to put the towel down. Usually I put a towel down, but I totally forgot that since I've been in my new studio here. I'm going to have to get bigger white towels, like probably like towels for swimming blankets, swimming towels, so that, and see how it gives it a little bit of texture and stuff, and it just makes it look cool. And you can go in there with a little thicker paint, because now it's wet, and now I can like float other things in there. I can maybe make grasses. I can go like this and take pretty much pure pigment, no water in your pigment right now, so that I can get like grasses in there. And I know you're saying it's like, well, blue grasses, purple grasses, what the heck? He's been drinking too much of that guava lamp. So no, it's just that you want to take colors from the back and just take those colors and put them into the scene. You know, you don't have to make it, because that's the color of the background, and people will know that it's grasses only by the fact that there's like little lines, and that means grasses. Don't worry so much about the color and copying the color from the photograph. This photograph doesn't have much color. It's very gray. And the thing is, you could paint it like that, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. No problems. But I like to make things a little bit, you know, more like a painting. And then maybe there's a little bit of, you know, spatter in there that looks really cool. Or there's some kind of technique that you find. Maybe you are a smoker and you put ashes in there. I know John Pike was. I think that's what he did. But I wouldn't recommend that. You know, that's not a great technique. You can shorten your life by that, instead of doing that, too much of that. All right, so a little bit of texture in there. And I know there's little dots everywhere now here, but that's going to be darker anyway, so don't worry about that. It'll go away. And so we're going to go right into that, in matter of fact, because that's about it for my background. It's the light background. Remember in the value study that this is the background and it's light. And so just keep it light, and that's going to be cool. Now I'm going to go with my worms. Like this one, I did opposite. And this one, I made the background worm and with oranges. And I don't know if you're going to see the stencil in there. There's a stencil, I kind of a very light stencil. But and then this background here is going to be a little bit, this was cooler. So we're doing the opposite of that. Let me check up real quick for any questions. If anybody's got any questions, let me know. Hey everybody, hey Sonia, hey Lillian, hey, who else is here? We got Catherine, Joyce. Joyce did a great job. Joyce is in my class on Thursdays, and she did a turquoise, kind of a turquoise with violet elephant, and it just was phenomenal, very phenomenal. All right, so with the background now being cool, I'm going to go with the worm of the elephant. And I'm just going to kind of go back here and just wet it first. And I'm going to do the lights of the elephant first. I'm not going to do I'm going to try to get some of the darks done, but I'm basically going to try to get the lights in there first. Always light to dark. That's just a rule. I find it to be a good rule, or a way of keeping your darks on top of the lights. Because if you're doing your lights, you can go over them easily with a dark. You know, so now this is a light. The tusks are lights, so that I had to go around basically. So I'm going to go through here now and just get some neat colors, some warm colors. I'll go with like orange grays and stuff, and you know, yeah, the elephant is not orange, but big butt, yeah, big butt. You can still make him warm. You know, it can be a warm gray. It doesn't mean you use pure orange. What makes your orange gray? Please answer. It's a blue. Because you use a complement and it'll gray it up. So if you use any of these blues, you gray it up a little bit. And that doesn't mean that it has to be totally just that color, everything. So go in there and feel like if you now put a little bit more red in there, maybe a little bit more violet in there, that's fine. You know, you make violet with orange, and you can put some yellows in there. And so now I'm just basically working the light parts of the elephant. You know, these are the light colors that are going to be in there. And I know it kind of looks like it's all blending together, but that's okay. I'm not doing my darks. Darks create the shapes. We tell you that every week, right? The darks create the shapes. I'm not even going to separate the little guy from the big guy, from the mom. We're just going to go in here and let them all come together as one and get the color I need. Again, nice and warm. And I know I'm losing the shape of them because I'm going through the lines, but that's okay because this is not the time to do that. You're not creating shapes. You're creating the color and the value of the lights. You know, you're kind of figuring out your light pattern and what colors you're using in your light pattern. And I'll put a little gray in there. And again, I don't have to get my darks yet. If you do get a few darks in there and you want to get them soft edge, that's, you know, perfectly fine. Kind of stalling here because I'm just like thinking about what I should put in the front here. Just watch out for yellow. Yellow, if it turns out too gold, that's going to kind of look kind of weird because it doesn't have this complement. Yellow is the complement of purple, and I don't have a real lot of purple. It's more bluish turquoise, so I have to watch out for that. I'm going to go more with a orange, because orange and blue are complements. But again, like I always say, that doesn't mean you cannot put that in there. Yes, you can put everything in there, and you want to have a bunch of colors floating around in here is what you want. And you notice I don't paint pieces, I paint areas. I don't paint like a leg, and then I don't, well, as I'm painting a leg, but I'm painting the whole elephant, which includes the legs, you know, and then you just kind of put all the colors in there and let them float. And here I can put a little blue in there, turquoise, like it's reflecting, because you can reflect the blue that's back there into the elephant. Yes, that you can do. And let things float. Let that pigment float. You notice I'm not getting the trunk or the front leg here is because that's wet around it, and I don't want that floating into there yet, so I'm stalling by doing the background here. And maybe you guys got some questions. Is that cold pressed paper? Becky asked if it's cold pressed paper. Yes, it is. It is cold pressed paper, and it is Stonehenge Aqua cold press. 300 pound. 300 pound. I only like working on the big stuff, on the thick stuff. I mean, it's I don't like things warping, even though this is a very bow over it. But that's just a small little thing. You know, it's just nice. Yes, there's orange in here. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's going to be great. It's going to be so awesome. And we're going to get really dark in there. This is, again, is my lights. These are my lights. This is not my darks. The darks will go in there and will capture those really, really darks that's underneath here and all that. If I did, let's say I want to put a dark in there, really, really dark right now, I could do that and, whoa, almost dropped my brush on the thing. Oh, boy. So we can go in here and I can get a soft edge if it's a lot of paint. And then what I can do is I can let that bleed. And so that's one way you can do it while it's wet. If you want the soft edge, like let's say back in here, I want the soft edge right now, you can do that. And though I don't really need a hard or a soft edge on the ear, matter of fact, I would like to have a hard edge there, but just to show you how you can make the bottom part. And I can go back in and make it even darker there. So you can work it with the amount of pigment you have. This is very wet, but if I use pure pigment in my brush, if I use pure pigment like this, and I just kind of pop it in there thick without any water in my brush, then it becomes very easy to manipulate and move around because it's just going to bleed a little bit because there's so much paint on your brush, and the water's already down there. It just floats around nice and easily. So you can just even do a little texture. I'm going to get a little bit of his skin that's wrinkly. It's going to go in my brush. Yeah, my brush is kind of apart, and so I'm just wisping across there. And I might, since I'll just keep on going along while it's wet, since I'm showing you how to do that. That's actually a good exercise, is to try to get yourself to be able to paint while it's wet and control an edge. Like here, it's going to be really dark, right? And so if I just go in here, wet this down around, and in my afternoon class, I didn't have the little baby elephant's tail in there. I cut him off too much. As you can see, I didn't have the tail. I cut him off right here. So this one has a tail. And so we're going to go in there and get that later. So then some warm colors, some orange and stuff in this dark. It's not so much that I'm going to try to make this a gray elephant. I want it to be a warm elephant. Warm colors because I have a cool background. I have a cool background. I want to, just like we did last week with the scene of with the arch. We did the background two different ways. And so it's the same thing this week. You can try either way, or try both. Now, the more you paint, the better you're going to get. It's one thing. You definitely can get better, but you need to paint. It doesn't come easy. You just have to work it, and you're going to do some failures like I do. Every once in a while you do one that just stinks, but just keep on going. So we got some nice colors in here. Look at all that floatiness going on in there. Isn't that nice? And then the ear, I'll get in there and get the colors in there, and I'll get that little this leash, an elephant with a leash. That's boy, amazing. So you go down here. Now I think it's almost dry, so I can get his trunk of this guy elephant. But first, we're gonna look up and see if we got. Hey Pam, hey Becky. Looking okay. Thanks everybody. Cheers again. This is a really good guava. All right, so, and then also when you start painting these things, the paint-alongs, you don't have to, again, a lot of you don't do it while I'm doing it because it's a little bit too hard to follow me because I'm pretty quick when it comes to the painting end of it. But if you do it later on, don't forget to post them on Facebook, and I have that group that I put together. And thanks a lot everybody for helping everybody else out, because you guys are doing a great job of responding to some of the people. Really love that you guys are doing that. So now we're going to do the trunk here. I'm just kind of again stalling, just making sure that I don't want the trunk to be, and then down here it's going to be dark, and so I have to make sure it doesn't bleed out. I want it to have a hard edge on that. So let's give it a nice color. Anything can be any color, remember. Even though this trunk, probably this whole elephant is gray, but if the sun is warm and you get some warm things around it, it'll be dark. It'll be dark and warm. And so you don't have to make it just that color that you see in the photograph. You can manipulate it and make it whatever color you like. In my class this afternoon, we had, all these different paintings, and each one had different colors, and that's the cool thing about it. We're all artists working on watercolor, but depending on what colors we like, we kind of use, I actually kind of make them use the different colors, because I give them black and white subject matter, unless they bring in their own photos. But I usually work from black and white, because I don't want the students in my workshops, I don't want my students copying the photographed color. I want you to learn how to create your own color and make the color whatever you want it to be. As long as your values are there. And as we noticed, like last week and this week, we've changed the value from background to foreground. We've changed the color temperature from cool to background to warm foreground, and then warm background to cool foreground. It all is possible as long as you keep the values the way they're supposed to be. The values you work out, and I showed you that in my value study there, that the values have to be right, because that's part of your composition, that the values work together. And so here now I'm going to go, and that's still wet, so that's bleeding in there. Oh boy, oh well. And so that's what you're going, when you're going really fast, you just tend to do that, but that's okay. It all works out. Last week I showed you how I showed you by accident how to change, because I did the whole foreground cool and the background cool when I was going to do it warm, and I just scrubbed things out. You could scrub this whole elephant out again, re-wet him, and put him in, and he could be all cool color too. You're not stuck with anything in watercolor. People say that it's a one-shot deal. No, you can go in there again later on and get other colors, and you can just manipulate it a little bit. So here we go. We're going to go in here and just wet it. I always wet things first, and then I apply the paint into the water. And sometimes it's got color in it, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just pure water where you don't see anything. All right, we got Jenny from San Diego. All right. I think you're probably the farthest person away. I know we got somebody from Tennessee too, right? You guys from Tennessee and San Diego, if you want me to come out there, if you have a club, just let me know and I'll contact them and I'll come and do workshops, hopefully when we start flying again. And would love to come out to San Diego and do a workshop. So if you got a art club, just let them know. Give them my information and I'll talk to them and see if I can get out there. I don't have many, most of them got canceled. Most of my workshops got canceled this year and last year, of course. And but they're starting up again a little by little. I still have my Dillman's one, and that I did last year. They're very protective. They have a lot of, they watch everything. We got our shields and we got our masks and all the sanitizer in the world. And so, and nobody got sick on any of the ones I did last year. I did like three or four workshops and nobody got sick. So it was, it felt good that nobody got sick, and we still had the workshops. And so here we go with a little bit of white. I'm gonna put a little white in this and to make it a little bit more kind of pastel-like colors. And so people ask me all the time about my white, and it's like, oh, you're using white and you're not supposed to use white and this and that. But you know, white is a great way to make your color lighter, and it also makes it more pastel sometimes. And there are colors like this one here, this horizon blue, that have white in it, and so you can just take that color and it's going to look really nice because it's going to be pastel-y color. And I always thought, as a pastel artist, they get all these beautiful colors, and as a watercolorist, we always had to use these really bright colors. I'm thinking, why can't we, as a watercolorist, use those same colors that the pastel artists use? And so that's what I did. I just started adding white to those colors, and they work fine. And actually, it makes it look kind of cool. I use titanium white for those who are asking, because titanium white is the opaque one. The one that is hard to use is Chinese white, because Chinese white is a transparent white in watercolor. And then people think that suddenly it becomes gouache. No, it's still watercolor. I'm using it just to mix into there, and it's not. I'm not using it thick like a gouache painting. I'm actually using it thin, and I'm using it really wet into wet. I'm applying it into there, and it's floating. So now we got this coming along here really well. His ears are light, and so I'm going to make this part dark, even though in the photograph this part is dark against light, but it's a pretty light ear. But I'm going to make it a little bit darker down here. And I can switch a little bit and make it a little bit darker than the photograph, just so that it pops out a little bit. See, I'm just reversing the values, so that now up here it's dark to light, light to dark. All right, now we got his head almost done. We got his tusk. We're going to do his eyes for detail. Not shadowing yet completely yet. We don't have the darkest darks in here yet. We're going to get those in with a dark hard edges. The hard edge darks will make that pop and stuff. His front leg, we're going to make the same as his trunk, just to keep it in the same, so that you know that that's still, it's not a tree trunk or anything like that. You can still tell that it's the front of his legs, his front leg coming forward, or her front leg. It is the mom. I'm guessing it's the mom. That's what we were thinking in class. We all kept on calling him, but I think it's the mom. So I'm wetting it again. When I wet, as you notice, a lot of times I don't know what color I'm using. I don't care. I just go in there with a dirty brush, and it's giving me a slight color. But then I go back in here and then I pick colors. Like I'll think, okay, I'm going to pick a little bit of the blue out there, only because I want to kind of reflect that into the back shadow part. And so I'm going to put that back here, just float it in there. It's floating. I don't need to have water in my brush because I already put it down. And then I can go in and get, what other colors I use? I use this little bit of orange, and then a purple and orange. I'll use a little purple in there. I'll make it kind of grayish, or make my orange kind of more of in the red tones. And then, yes, there are a lot of wrinkles and stuff in there, but I don't have to get that until later. I don't have to get detail until later. Right now I'm thinking about big areas of light and dark. And if I do get a few things like, you know, that are like little, let's say little lines in here to make it look like it is wrinkled, his skin, that's fine. You can do that a little bit. But you're not going to get the hard edge stuff now. You're just going to get the soft edge stuff, because we're working wet into wet. And you're always working wet into wet first. Get that done. Just work that first. Get that done. So there's part of his front leg. And now I'll go into the little guy here. And this brush is going to be a little bit too big for that, because I have to go and so I'm going to do it to my smaller brush so I can handle that smaller brush better for small things. Like his trunk is pretty thin, and so I can go in here and then just get a hard edge is dry down here. And then I'm going to wet it a little bit. I have a little paper towel here, and I kind of wet in front of it. I have paper towel today because normally I have my towel underneath everything. Totally forgot that today. Just one of those things. It was running late, getting everything together here for this first new studio demonstration. And this is where I'm going to be doing my my Zoom classes. I have everything set up now where this will be great for Zoom classes, because I have a huge monitor in front and like two huge monitors. I actually have a TV screen that's what is it, a 50-inch, and so that's I can read it. You guys, Oh, yeah, it's Mill from Tennessee, from Crossville, Tennessee. Linda is also from Middle Tennessee. And so we got Billy. Oh, we got three people from Tennessee. Oh, we got somebody from Sarasota. We got a lot of people from Florida, I think, too. And actually, in a couple of weeks, I'll be going down to Florida and for spring break, and I'll be doing my live Thursday night in Fort Lauderdale. And so we'll be down in Fort Lauderdale, and I'll be doing my daughter lives in Fort Lauderdale, and I'll be going down there to visit her. And we're going to be doing maybe a plein air paint along. So I'll find a place down there and just maybe do our paint along down in outside. And I'll show you how to do a plein air paint along. Let's see. And maybe I can even get my shot down there, my vaccine. I can't get in Illinois right now. I'm not on that list yet. So we're going down here, and we're gonna get the ears. And again, always put your thing in first. The Stonehenge Mill asks if Stonehenge makes rough paper. No, they don't. They just make cold press and hot press right at the moment. It would have been nice. That would have been a kind of a neat thing to do, is have more of a rough paper to put that in. But again, you can do a lot of things with like spattering, and you can make things rough by tapping. You can even take paper towel like this and make it rough by just tapping in there like that. And there's a lot of things you can do. Sponges, rough sponges, you can tip into it. So it's a lot of different ways of getting different textures in watercolor, and that's the part that's kind of fun to see what everybody can do. You know, because it's one of those things where you, as the artist, hopefully will make your own kind of style and give your own kind of technique. So maybe your technique is, you know, spitting on your paper, and it gives it a cool effect or something. You know, something that you can think about that's different from what everybody else does. So you figure out your style and use it and make your painting look great. Because you're still going to have to do the same thing with the when it comes to the values and the composition. That's all the same. You know, you don't change that. That becomes the same thing over and over again, light to dark and all that kind of stuff. But even if you're a really tight painter, like I know there's some of my students that are very tight, and that's fine. But you still have to, all those things like composition, all that still stays the same. It's just it takes them longer to do a very detailed study, which I don't have the patience for really very fine details. I just like going in here and an hour and make my painting. For those of you who are on my Facebook page, you saw that I got into TWSA this year, and I'm kind of hoping I forgot how many I've gotten in. I think I've gotten in 7 times, so I need 3 more times to get in my master status. But the painting I did was the frontline workers, the hospital workers, and I did those paintings, and people were asking me how long it took me to do those paintings. Well, I almost like to not like to tell you how long it took them, because it really doesn't take me long to do a painting. I think those paintings maybe took me 2 hours a piece, and they're full sheet, but they were actually done on a board, so they're a little bit different. But they were done on a board, a watercolor board, instead of a paper. Linda says the first time she saw I was doing the plein air. I've done a couple of plein airs when I was in New York. I was up near the St. Lawrence River and and I'll be doing that again this year in the Thousand Islands area, Clayton, New York. I was up there doing a workshop, and I'm going to be going up there again this year. And I did a couple plein air, and actually I'm doing a plein air class there. I think we're doing plein air outside a little bit, so that's in Clayton, New York. That if you're living in New York and you want to take that workshop, it's on my Facebook page, my website. So if you want to figure out that information, it's all out there. All right, so now I'm going little by little and getting these darks in here, but I notice I'm not getting dark enough right away. I'm milking it here, I think. I'm not sure why. I'm not just dumping enough paint in there, and so it keeps on lightening up too much. So I'm going to go in here and get a little bit darker now, try to get this in there. And I know in the picture, if you look at the picture up here, it's all black and, it's almost like black and white there. But I'm making all these colors. I'm making orange. I'm making, making things a little bit more colorful. And that's fine as long as I keep the values. You can put color in there also. Get that, and then he's got the side here. And as you can see, they're smooth right now because I'm still in the stage where I'm doing the big areas of light and dark. And I'm getting the big areas done. I'm not going in for detail yet, even though that was detail right there. But I'm going in for the big stuff first. The big areas, get those big areas lit up, figure that all out first. Then you can go in there later on and get all the details. You do that with every painting. You do the details later. You can't do them until you get the big areas done. The big areas of light and dark. Like here I'm going to go into my 1/4" brush for his leash. An elephant with a leash. Oh, I can't believe that. So, make it a dark leash. I don't know, make it an orange, red. How about a red leash? If you don't want to put that leash in there, leave it out. You don't have to put that in there. You can do whatever you want. You're the artist. You make things happen. Let's go for a small round brush here to get the... I put a little like hook on the end, like if they were going to have like a little round thing. I'm not sure if that's how it is. I'm just making that up, and of course a little guy. And I think we're ready for, there's going to be a flower here. I'm going to put the little flower there. So let's put a little flower there and make it orangey red. Let's get in there and there. We got the geranium. Maybe that's only only flower I know the name of, so let's make it red. And so now let's go in there and get our details. I think we're ready. How much time do we have here? Oh, we got half an hour. Ask some questions. I gotta stall a little. Oh wait, we gotta do the background too with the stencils today, so I better not slow down and better get going here. So let's go get our details. So the details will consist of all the little markings on the elephant, all the little skin that's very wrinkled. And the thing is, you don't have to do it wrinkled either. You can do it where it's just like this, where it's not as wrinkled. That's fine. It's not going to hurt it. It's just going to be a little bit different. It'll be more stylized, simple. You have a simple. Here I'm going in here and getting finally get the tail in on this one. This little guy. A little dark back here. Make it a little bit darker so it looks like the background. And now we're going to go in. Let's get the eyes. A little bit of eyes. And when I go for my darks, what am I going for? I'm going for my dark purples. All this side of the palette. We got blues, we got black, we got purple, browns. Well, this is not a brown. It's a midazolone brown. It's like a purple brown. And so we can just dip into that and just look for the darks. It's almost black anyway, so just get in there with a dark. And then soft edges around it. You can just take your brush and just let it bleed it off into other areas. You don't have to wet the area first. You can wet it afterwards too. You can wet that area to get it to look like it's bleeding. And so here now it's pretty dry, so I'm getting hard edges, so that's good. So now I can go in here and I can grab a little bit of the skin of the elephant. I can, do a little brushwork like this just to get a little bit of. You don't have to do every single, wrinkle in the elephant. Just a few here and there will indicate that it is wrinkly and stuff like that. So now as we're going down here, this mouth, if you look in here, is really dark. And actually in the photograph, I couldn't tell if he was chewing on that flower or if it was flowers in front of that, but you just make it up. Don't have to make it exactly like that. As long as it's dark there and float some color in that you're going to be fine. Our minds are smart enough to know that that's his mouth. We don't have to make it exactly like the photograph to make it look exactly like a mouth. Our minds, again, they will let us know that that's a mouth. If you've seen an elephant before, unless you've never seen an elephant at all, you know that's the mouth. It automatically says that. Your mind knows that. It's stored it up from the last time you saw an elephant, that the mouth is right there by the trunk. And so things like that, we're pretty smart. People are pretty smart. I think. We're all pretty smart, right? Alrighty, so here we go. We're gonna put a little bit of dark in his mouth, and then go right down here on his trunk. Maybe a little shadowing from his cheers, everybody! Cheers. Another Thursday. UFO guava lamp. Highly recommend. It's very good. So here's some little. We're making all the lines now. We're going in there and making the lines and making the elephant look like an elephant with the wrinkly skin. I'm gonna put a little dark in here, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, because it's already dry, so now I can get some hard edges, and then at the same time go in there and get those little lines for the wrinkles. You don't have to put every, like I said, don't have to put everyone in, but enough to show that that area is kind of wrinkly. And again, it fills in, your mind fills in that the rest of it is also probably pretty wrinkly if you just do a few of them. Simplifying is the fact that you're putting a little bit of that, what's in there, but letting the mind do the rest. It can fill in for you. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue on this side. I'm just going to float a little bit of light blue on that side to give it a little bit of like reflected light from the background. And anytime something's wet, I always like to float a little color in there. Even in this blue, in this red geranium, I'm going to put a little bit of blue, which makes it purple, because that would be like the shadow color for that. Maybe the trunk gives a little bit of a color in there. Just going to take a little dirty color off my palette. A lot of times your palette being dirty is good because you look around. There's my red areas. There's like a little bit of light blue. I can use that little bit of light blue just for putting a little tint in of color on the tusk of the elephant. And now here I noticed that there's a lot of little lines going right by the tusk. It kind of goes this way. So I'm just going to kind of blend it that way. Make these little lines. I'm using the very tip of my brush to get the nice look of the little wrinkles. And I know there's a bunch of lines going up this way. So I put a few, just again, a few here and there is enough to show that what's happening there. And now there's not many wrinkles in the ear, which, as a matter of fact, is kind of funny. I didn't realize there's not that many wrinkles in an elephant's ear. There's wave, it's kind of more wavy. You know, it's kind of a wavy thing, so that's what I do. I'll make it more wavy. Not Davy, wavy. Alright, so we got that part going. Any questions? Let me see. Love Clayton. Yeah, Clayton is fun. I hope to see you there again. If anybody was in the class there before. Really, really nice place. And we're going to do a little bit different than last year. So if you went last year, it'll be a little bit different. We're going to do a lot of scenery from the area. We're going to try to paint a little bit from the area. And if you go to their website, it's on my website. If you go there, you can find out all the information about that workshop. Now we got a little eye for this little guy here. I'm gonna give him blue eyes. What the heck? Give him a little bit of blue eye monster. Why not? Again, it's my elephant. So I'm gonna give him blue eyes. So we're gonna go in here, and we're gonna put in a little bit of some more wrinkles. And look at the picture and see which way the wrinkles are going. You can make them really fine, and you don't have to put, like I said, you don't have to put them all in. Just enough to give them an idea of how it's going. Look how real thin those are. A little bit of dark in here. Maybe put a little warmth in his ear. This little guy has little bags right here, or little wrinkles. Even the little guys have wrinkles. And then we're going to put a little bit darker behind his ear because it's really dark right here. So we're just going to make that a little bit darker now that it's dry. And then, let's see how much time we have. We still have 15 minutes. All right, we'll go really quickly here with getting the rest of our lines. And I'm going to show you how to use the stencil. So here we go with a little bit of dark up here. Little wrinkles on his little head here. And a little bit of this. enough to show what's going on here. And then now I'm going to take my rigger brush, and again, all these supplies for all you newcomers. If you want to have my brushes, same brushes, I sell a set of 6 on my website for 60 bucks. You can get them there on my website. I just had to put an order in because I ran out. So people love them, and I've had no complaints yet about any of them. People tend to like them, and so I like them. So that's why I had ordered them from Holbein just for me. I was very selfish. I wanted them for myself, but then all you guys wanted them, so we got a bunch of them. So go in here, get some of those lines in there. Now I'm going to put a hard edge line around the ear because this edge can be hard so that the ear pops out a little bit. So I'm just going to put a little bit of harder edge than I had there before, and it'll pop it out a little bit. The same thing with the little guy here. I put a little bit harder edge right there, and it'll come out and make it come out a little bit farther. And it looks like we got a few. We can do a little bit of wisping. Wisping is taking it like a dry brush. You can do a little bit of that on there. Alright, so now let me show you something about, let's put this little line in here, and then we'll do a little bit of the stencil. Try the stencil work. And I actually have 2 more here, sorry about that. Let me see, I gotta get, this back leg has a little bit dark right here. And then we can do a little bit of wrinkles. Pop them forward a little bit. Tap it up a little, give it texture. By taking an old dirty rag and texturing, you can texture things by just tapping it like that. You can get a little texture. And people think you need all kinds of things to make texture. No, you don't need salt. You just take a rag or even plastic wrap and put it on there. You can get a neat texture also. A little bit dark in here now on his trunk, and then this little stem coming down. He's holding it there in his trunk. And let's see, his eye is a little bit too blue. He didn't get a blue eye. Nobody punched him or anything like that. So get a little bit more here. Let's see, any questions? Alright, okay, now let me get a stencil here, and I have I get my stencils from stencilgirlproducts.com. And I'll put that link in there, but I have a whole the memory book full of them. And so what I do is I had ordered a bunch of stencils, and these stencils I bring with the classes and stuff. We could put musical notes back there. The thing is, it's hard to figure out what you want to kind of do in the background. You have to kind of look. I can even this one. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's elephants. Look at that. I can put elephants on top of elephants. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just get a textured pattern back there. So you go through and look, and if you go to like a stencilgirlproducts.com, they have a million stencils, and so I just ordered ones that were more natural kind of things that were, it's just these kind of things where they're all just a lot of stuff happening, very natural, like branches and stuff, because I do a lot of landscapes, and these kind of things go in there, and it's kind of hard to see without. See, maybe something like that in the background you can use. But what you're doing is I'm not putting anything dark in there, though I did that here on this one. I put some stencil dark on top. I'm going to lift out, and I'm going to use a magic eraser, which, I don't have a magic eraser here. Oh boy, I'm going to have to, let's see what kind of else can I use. It's in my studio on the other end of my house. I have to run there for a second. Anyway, so with the stencil, let me find one that I think is going to work for this one. I'm going to make the background kind of, let's see. I'm going to give it a pattern of some type. And I probably should have thought which one I was going to do before I get down here. And so let's just do this one. Let's do this one. We're going to take this stencil right here. And a lot of times a good thing to do is to take the stencil, look at it, how it's going to look in there. So I'm going to make the background, I'm going to make these parts like this lighter. So you're going to have a lightness in there. And I'm going to have to ask you to just be patient and talk amongst yourselves. And I'm going to be about 1 minute. I got to get my sponge. I don't have the sponge. So I'll be right back. Don't go away. It's a commercial break. All right, I'm back. All right, I'm back. I'm back, and so this is what I needed. I needed a magic eraser. So with the magic eraser, what you want to do is take it, wet it, and so here's my water. And it doesn't matter if it's dirty. Soak it in there a little bit, and then take all the paint, all the water out. You just want it damp. And then what I do is over the area I want to create the stencil, I lay it down. And again, make sure all the water's out of your sponge. You just want it damp. And then lightly, what I'm doing is I'm taking the paint away from the paper again. Just rubbing. I'm a runner. I'm out of breath. I went so fast. So we're going in here. And so we're just going to go here and just kind of rub it out. And again, no water. You just have to, you don't want water on, because what will happen is it'll go underneath the stencil and make it kind of messy. And I like to look at it once in a while. Ooh, don't slide it like that. Oh, there we go. See, we're going to do a little stencil right there. And bring it down again in the same spot. Bring it down a little bit farther. I'm just wiping away some of the paint. And then I'm going to go in the center here. And again, watch the areas that you don't want the stencil to go through. You just rub, and it's going to rub into the magic eraser. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. These are the magic erasers you use to rub out areas. And also, if you ever have a problem with your watercolor, you can do that too. Oh, here I see it went underneath a little bit, and so it's going to rub out some of the water. And so we got a little bit of a stencil look back there, just to give it a different kind of technique. And then actually down here where it's going to be white, I can actually reverse it and I can put into the paper too. And it's up to you, and it's just another way of kind of creating a look in watercolor that I've found that sometimes can really help out a painting when you feel like you don't know what to do with it anymore, or something that's happening is not looking right. And then if you just take a little stencil and then just play with it a little bit. I'm going to put in a little bit of color in here, because it just picked up over here, and I'll put it in over here. I'll just take the magic eraser that has some of the paint from over here and just rub it on this side, because that's white. And so I can just make the whole background kind of like this little texture part. I don't know if you can see that part that got, see if you can see it. It's a little bit of a texture in there. I think I need a little bit more right here, and then I think we're going to be done. And on this one, I probably would sign it. I probably would sign it over here, because it's. Oh wait, maybe right here I would sign it there. It seems like a nice place for you signing it. There's another whole thing about signing and where you should sign to make it balance and stuff. But so pretty much that is going to be it, and how to use a stencil. Let's see if any questions. Disappearing egg. Yes, it was pretty fast though. I got there pretty fast and I got back in time. So, so here's where let's take the tape off and I'll show you what we got here. So under 30 minutes, huh? That's pretty good. Not too bad. And so we got the elephant, and I probably could make this a little bit darker. Hold on, let me just put a little bit more of a stencil there. So on the bottom part, let's see, should that be a little bit more stencil? No, we're just gonna keep it at that. Yeah, it looks good enough. Let's take the tape off and see what it looks like without the tape. Usually that's always, I like to take it and again set it up for the evening, and then in the morning look at it again. Sometimes it would be something that you forgot or you didn't see, and it's always best to like do it in 2 days anyways, and then the second day you kind of look at it, you get a fresh eye. Sometimes you're working on it too long and you can't quite see what everything's good about it, and so that was today's this evening's, and this is this afternoon's. So let's see what both of them look like. A little bit different. And even myself, you know, being the same artist doing both of them, I didn't put a flower in this one. I just thought it didn't need it. But so there's a way of using a stencil. I'm not sure if that's the right stencil for that, but you know, it works fine. You know, it could have been another thing. It could have been maybe a moving stencil. And the thing is, if I didn't like that, I can still go right over it. I could take that off of there. Rub it with this magic eraser, and then reapply water and put it on again, and maybe do a different stencil. So it's never really bad. Like, you don't have to worry if something didn't work out exactly the way you wanted to. You can always go back in. It's not going to be as fresh the second time, but it can work that way too. So, let's see. So I'm hoping everything. Let me see if any more questions. Becky says those erasers are great for creating a furry look. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, because you can really push paint around with them. Beautiful. I look forward to trying this. All right, we got everybody looking forward to painting it. I want to see, and also post them on my thing so I can see what they look like for the and everybody else. And if you need any comments, just put them up there on my group site up there on Facebook, and then we'll definitely give you our opinions. Most of us artists are very opinionated, so we'll give you our opinions. And so I think that's pretty much it, right? Okay, let's go over to this and see. And again, if there was any problems with the microphone or with the microphone or with anything that's happening, please let me know. And I think this was our video much okay. So now I can I don't have to worry about getting everything set up every time. So now it's in my studio, or we're doing Zoom classes. So until next Thursday, we are doing next Thursday. There is one Thursday where I'm down in Florida, and that will be the one I do on the spot. I'll be doing plein air. But other than that, come to my website and find out what I'm doing. All right. See you next time, guys.